If guns made you safer, America would be the safest place in the world right now, and it's not. My book is only possible in America. In no other Western country could I write my book where 9 children or teens are shot dead every day. So anybody who thinks that America is our future has a very bleak understanding of what their future might be. The gun sits very centrally into a certain American narrative. Power, domination, rugged individualism, small government. The gun sits powerfully in all of those. And so if you want to get rid of the gun, you have to think of a different story for America. Particularly this year after the Parkland shootings, where a boy went into a school in Florida and shot dead 17 people and injured another 17, there was a youth-led movement, very powerful, I think, which I do think changed the conversation. And I think it changed the conversation because they were young, and because they were young, they didn't care about the old compromises, and they hadn't yet learned to be hopeless. And if we look at the number of young people who voted in the midterms, that's a good omen for a new generation being sensitized. In the last 2 years, 4 of the 5 largest demonstrations have taken place in America in protest at Trump's agenda, the women's marches, the March for Our Lives about weapons. And the Democratic Party has been the recipient of that energy, but it's provided no leadership. Trump has come up with a compelling narrative for a lot of Americans. Be strong, be bold, be ignorant, lie, cheat, kill, bomb, it doesn't matter, win. So he has a narrative, America first. And the Democrats have not come up with a counter-narrative as to what America should be, where it should go, what should happen to it. Instead, they talk about healthcare, or they talk about this or that. These are important things, but they have to be part of a bigger notion of what America might be. If you look across the Western world, there is a pattern that Europe is a virus, really, that Europe is not immune from. And it comes actually really from the economic crisis. We've had an economic crisis that was stimulated by the banks, and they made the poor people pay. They made the poor pay for the crisis that they didn't create. And so there's been a revolt. And the mainstream political parties were all complicit in forcing the poor to pay for the financial crisis. And so people look to the fringes, to the far right and the far left, because the left is doing well too. But the left is not doing as well as the right. And so we have this moment where we have a major realignment of European politics, that the truths that held throughout the post-war period no longer hold. France is interesting because in the runoff you had Macron against Le Pen, and people said, well, it's obvious. And in a sense it was obvious because you have to keep Le Pen out. But on the other hand, when you have someone like Macron, what happens is that all of those frustrations fester, and the chances are that the Front National will be stronger now as a result of this managerial form of social democratic kind of late stage capitalism than it was before. So it's a very, very perilous situation, and it feels to me like what's happened in France illustrates that the answer isn't in the old center, that the old center cannot hold.